we'll dive in. It's nice to see everybody. I'm Jen Gritman. If I haven't met you or if you're new, it's so nice to meet you and to see you. I'm an ed tech teacher on special assignment, and not last year, but the year before, I did a ton of trainings and workshops and things. And then last year, just with everyone's capacity, I didn't do a whole lot of after school stuff just because everyone was just trying to stay afloat last year, and there just wasn't a lot of capacity for anything outside of the school day. So I'm back at it this year, and I'm planning on doing quite a few workshops like this. If you have ideas for things, please feel free to reach out to me and let me know, because if you're thinking about it, then other people probably are too. I'm going to do some UDL stuff and some just Google Suite, things. I really do like to do workshops where you walk away at the end of it with something tangible that you can use. So I'm going to do one on creating a choice board, creating YouTube playlists, all kinds of things where you can actually walk out of the workshop with something tangible to use with your students or in whatever capacity it will be helpful to you. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let's see, screen share. It's been a while since we've done this. So I'm a little bit like, what do I do again? Okay, so we're going to be talking about Google Apps today. And if you're looking at the side of my face, I'm sorry, I have the external monitor going. So I'm looking over here and kind of juggling back and forth. I created this slideshow, and I think everyone has it, but I'm going to drop it one more time in case. Oh, wait, why isn't my chat showing? Let's see. My chat. Oh, there it is. It's over there. It showed up on the other screen. Okay, so there's our slideshow. And maybe somebody, because I'm kind of going to be looking at these, please feel free if new people pop in, maybe somebody could copy and paste it. If you notice that more participants join, would somebody be willing to kind of do that? Just copy that link and paste it. Thanks, Beth. That would be awesome. If you notice our number goes up, we're at 7 right now. Google extensions, just really quickly, are little kind of side programs that are not provided by Google, but that are tools that work with our Google Suite to make our lives easier and that do all kinds of things. So people build them. It's almost like an app in the App Store that you'd get for your phone, right? You add it in because it's something you need. And so Google extensions kind of take us beyond what Google provides for us within its apps and allow us to do some other things. And there's a ton of them. There's a Google Web Store, and you go to the Google Web Store. It's right here is the link for it. If you would type in Web Store in your URL kind of place, it's the first thing that'll come up. But this is the link, and I can actually copy that too and paste it in the chat for you as well. Let's see, here is the Web Store, and that's where you're going to find all of these apps that you want. Also, when we go through, I've linked directly to them, to each one, so you don't have to search for it in the Web Store. So if we talk about one and there's one you really want, you can use this slideshow and you can click on the icon, and I've made that a direct link to that extension. So I'll show you that when we get to it, but I've tried to make it as easy as possible for you to find them. You can search when you go to the Web Store. You can look at the functionality. It describes what it does. People even review it, so you can see if it gets 1 or 2 stars. You might want to skip it, but if a lot of them get higher reviews. And oftentimes there's one that will do the same thing, like ad blockers, or, there's several different versions of an extension. So you might want to look at the reviews and compare them and pick the one that more people have installed, because that tends to be a good indication of whether it works really well or not. So when you go to the Web Store and you find one you want, there's going to be an Add to Chrome button. And then it'll add your extensions, and the place you're going to find them is if you're using Google Chrome. I mean, you need to be using Google Chrome for these to work. So if you use Safari or some other web browser, you might consider switching over to Chrome. they're going to show up under this little puzzle piece, and hopefully you can see that. It's in my toolbar, kind of all the way on the right-hand side. There's this little puzzle piece, and there are all of my extensions. Now, I don't use all of these. I installed a whole bunch that we're going to talk about today, but some of them I'm actually going to go through and delete, because if you have too many, it can slow down your computer and things like that. So you probably want to just install the ones that you really feel are going to be useful for you. So for today, I installed a whole bunch of them to show you how some of these work, but I certainly don't use all these on a daily basis at all. They'll all show up under the puzzle, and the ones that you use all the time, you can click on this little pin right here, and then they're going to stay in this toolbar right here. So these little icons here are the extensions that I use frequently that I've pinned here, and they'll just keep adding to that list. So let's say I wanted to pin this one. You're going to notice that that one now shows up in my toolbar, the little rainbow thing, and you can unpin it if you realize you don't use it. You can use them directly from this list. You just go to your puzzle piece and find the one you want, and when I click on it, that extension will open.
I'm sorry, Jen,
yeah.
think some of the things you're talking about are not showing on this screen. Like I see your slides, but I'm not seeing the list or the pin.
Oh.
I don't know if other people are, but I think it might be on your other monitor.
So it's here, and I'm wondering maybe because it's like it's not on my Google, on my, it probably when you do screen share, there's some limitations to pop up windows. So are you seeing that
menu bar? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the most important part. And just know that when I do click on this little puzzle piece, there is a pop-up window that shows up. I think my screen share probably just doesn't capture that. So that would be there.
Okay.
So that's kind of the basics of once you install them, where they're going to show up. They won't be here until you pin them. Or if that is too like overwhelming to have all those there, you can certainly just leave them under the puzzle piece and find them when you need them. And the ones I have here are ones that I use pretty frequently. There's some extras here that I don't use very much that I'll probably get rid of, but I wanted to show you that you could pin those there. Which extension should I get? It really totally depends on you and your usage of your computer and what you do frequently. I'm going to show you the ones at the very beginning that I use literally every day, kind of my like highest recommendations, at least for me and for what I do. But this is very different because I'm not in a classroom. If you're posting to Google Classroom a lot, there's some great extensions that have to do with that. So it really does depend on your, what you're doing. Let's see, I wanted to put in this disclaimer. You do have to, with quite a few of them, log in with your Google account, but we're using our AUSD accounts. So there is some, if you were installing these on your personal computer or under your personal Gmail account, you might want to think a little bit more about the privacy and the data that's being shared. I feel pretty safe, sharing my Google email address with them. I don't get any spam from any of these that I've installed. I don't get emails from them, and I have a ton of them installed. I never get emails or solicitations. So I feel okay about installing, most of these on my work computer. And then, like I already said, I keep the more frequently used ones in the toolbar, and I keep the rest just under the puzzle piece menu. Anything so far? Does that all make sense so far? Everything? Okay. So today's plan, really, like I said, I've broken the extensions that I've done, read a lot of articles, a lot of tweets where people are like, what are your favorite extensions as a teacher? And I've tried to compile as many of those that kind of come up in a lot of the articles as possible, and also ones I've personally used a lot. I'm going to describe them and demonstrate them kind of within one category. And then I think we'll pause for a couple minutes and then using the links on these slides. If there are any I've talked about in that section that you feel would be useful for you, then you have a couple minutes to install those and pin them if you want to pin them, and at least get them installed on your computer. So you don't have to go back and do that later. And then I'll just check in with you about timing, and then we'll do the next chunk, and we'll kind of go through it in that way if that works. I really want you to have time to install some of them today. And if I just keep talking, it gets a little overwhelming. So maybe like just think about like relax and just watch and listen for each section. And then you can go into that section and install the ones you want. You don't feel like you need to be doing that while I'm talking. Does that work? Yeah. Okay. So my essentials, I did a little section here at the top. These are every teacher I talk to where I talk about functionality or like work kind of, I can't think of the word right now, but your work, balance and really getting some good functionality out of a couple of extensions. There's 3 that I can't live without. Like I use them every day. So I wanted to tell you about those. And then I threw one in for fun. And I think Amanda uses it too. Because it really does kind of bring some brightness to my day when I'm on my computer a lot. So I'm going to share one that's just kind of fun as well in this first chunk. So I'll show you 4. If you like any of them, you can then take a minute to install any of them. The first one is called Sir Links-a-Lot. It's a great name for this extension. And this one lets you easily modify your links. So I don't know about you, but I send out links to my presentations and my docs and things. I share them a lot with other people. I wanted to give you an example of that. So when you open my EdTech newsletter, right, when I send you this in an email, I don't send it in this version because then you see all my slides over here on the left-hand side, right? It's kind of my editable version. And even though I have it set to view only, it still kind of feels like messy to me to have you looking at it all like there. So I like to send it in like a preview mode so that all you're looking at, it eliminates this sidebar. So Sir Links-a-Lot is up here in my toolbar, and can you see that pop-up menu? You can. Oh, good. Okay, I was worried that you couldn't see it. This will let you either make a link to have people force a copy. Sometimes that's really helpful if you're sharing a document. You want when somebody else opens it for them to have to copy it before they can open it. Preview mode, template mode, or PDF mode. Now this preview mode, watch the current URL. The last word right now is edit. When I click preview, it changed the link for me to preview. And now I'm just going to go down here to copy link to clipboard. And now when I go and write my email to you and I make the word newsletter a link, I use this new link, the preview link, so that when I now send that link out, this is what you would see. Like it's the exact same presentation. You can flip through the slides still down here on the bottom, so you can access the whole slideshow, but look how much cleaner, it's bigger, it's more accessible to my viewers than if I send this version to people. That's my like workable version. So if you send slides out to your families, if you roll something out to your students and they're not going to be editing it directly, they're just going to be viewing it, Sir Links-a-Lot might be a great one for you to have in terms of copying that link in different formats. If I force copy it, you can see copy is the last word now. And now I wouldn't do this with the newsletter, but I might do it with a document. Oops, did I grab the link? Oops. So let's go back here. Sir Links-a-Lot. Force copy, and I'm going to copy the link to my clipboard. And now if I share that one and I email out that link, now you're going to be, before you can even open it, you're going to be forced to make a copy of my presentation. And again, I don't want you to have to do that that doesn't apply in this situation, but it might if you are sharing a document that you created with your grade level colleagues and you want them to have their own copy of it, or there's lots of reasons why. Even if you want to email it out to your students and you want each student to have to make a copy of it and you're not using Google Classroom does that step for you really nicely. But it's another great feature of Sirlinks-A-Lot where it really easily changes that link for you. So I love that one. I use it every day. And I'm actually going to use it right now because I wanted to just show you how, even in my presentation right now, I would rather show you this all in preview mode, because then you'll be able, oops, I didn't copy it. Oops, preview mode. And I'm going to paste it there. And now we can look at our extensions presentation. It's kind of clearer, it's much bigger. And so when you're presenting to students or to families, it's really nice to have it in this preview mode. But what I like about this versus going into slideshow mode is that you notice all my tabs are still showing up here at the top. So when I'm talking to you guys, I might want to click over to a different tab. If I was in slideshow mode, then it fills up my whole screen, which is great in some situations. But for today, when I want to demonstrate things on the web and I want to do different things, I'd much rather be in preview mode. So I have my tabs at the top. Does that make sense? Like, slideshow is great in certain situations, but preview, I mean, when you need it, you totally need it. And it's another great one to be able to use. So that's Sirlinks-A-Lot. Any questions about that one? I'm going to do 4 of my absolute favorites and then we'll pause. And if you want to add any of them, you can. All right, we're good. So the other one I really, really love is Google Docs Quick Create. Now, I think most people open their Drive, go to their Drive. Let's see, you go to your Drive and you go to new, and you have all these choices. And then, that's usually how people create a new, whatever it is you're creating. Google Docs Quick Create, saves that step. And where are we? We're here. So if I want to create, I have it right here. It shows this little menu kind of here. And when I click on it, right there from my toolbar, I can create a new document, a new spreadsheet, a new form, a new presentation. And it's the exact same as going to that plus button in your Drive. The only important thing here, I think, is if you're like me and you file everything in your Google Drive, then you would just have to remember, because this is just going to put it in your Drive, like your main bucket of your Drive. So if I use Google Docs Quick Create, I just want to remember that now this is in my main Drive. And so I might want to use, it'll load in a second. I should get that little Drive thing. I don't know why it's not showing up. It's not showing up, but usually there's that little Drive button up here. I'm not quite sure why it's not there, but I'll now have this, I'll have an untitled document just in my Drive, and I might want to then file it where it goes, right? Like put it in a folder or something like that. But it could save you a couple minutes to just, do your new document, spreadsheet, whatever, right from there in your browser. Any questions about that one? That saves you a little bit of time. I mean, every click is like a couple, it adds up and it saves you a little bit of time. So that one is called Google Docs Quick Create, and it's a very simple menu that you can use to just go ahead and create a new anything from Google. The next one that is absolutely one I use every single day is called Lightshot. And I don't know about you, but I grab a lot of images or screenshots from different things. And then if I do a screenshot, like Shift Command 4 or whatever I do on my computer to get the screenshot, then that screenshot lives on my desktop. And then I have a million of them on my desktop, and then you have to clean them up or throw them out or file them or whatever. This totally eliminates that. So let's say I'm just going to use this, and I'm going to do a blank slide on my, let's see, I'm going to do a blank slide on this newsletter down here at the bottom, and let's just do a blank slide here. We'll just insert it where we're at. Now, let's say I'm doing a presentation for my students on, I just grabbed this, like votes for, voting rights for women. And let's say I want to grab this image to use in my presentation for my students. Now, in the past, I've always done Shift Command 4, and you get the little like crosshatch, and you can grab a screenshot of that part of your screen, or maybe you have maybe you've done like right click and you save the image to your desktop. Well, if you're only wanting to drop it into a presentation and you know you're not going to use it again after that, when you use Lightshot, it's this little feather one right here in my toolbar. I'm going to click that, and then it grays out my screen, and I can draw what I want to capture. I can either save it, like this little disc right here. Can you see the toolbars? Yeah, this disk means I'll save it, and that'll do what I've always done. It'll save it to my desktop, and I'll have that saved. The button I love the most right here is copy, because I can just copy it. And now I can go over to my thing and I can right click and paste it. And it goes immediately into my presentation. It's not saved anywhere else. I don't have the garbage of it on my desktop anymore. I took it straight from the screen and dropped it right into my presentation. And it just eliminates that whole cleaning up of all kinds of screenshots that I've grabbed. And I use this all the time. Another really great thing Lightshot does is it allows you to annotate. So let's say I want to grab this one, but before I grab it, I want to put a box around, the words, because I use this a lot when I'm doing tutorials for steps of how to do things. Like, let's say I want you to see, a particular button to push on your computer. You can put a square around something. You can add words to it. Click here, whatever you want to do. This allows you to draw on it, annotate it, boxes around it before you copy it. And then when you attach it or send it to your families or to your students, it captures those changes that you've made to the image. So it's like annotating your screenshot directly there within Lightshot. That picture now is not saved anywhere else. I don't need to deal with it on my desktop. It's just put it straight into the presentation. And I don't know, if you grab a lot of images like I do, that's like a game changer, to not have to deal with them all. Yeah. Kim?
Yes, can I ask a question about Lightshot?
Sure.
Great. So I have my laptop open and I'm poking around and I'm about to add Lightshot. I think this is great, but I'm getting this pop-up and it says it can, and it lists all the things it can do for you. And I'm just so naive. I want your assurance on this top one here. It says it can read and change all your data on all websites. That sounds really scary to me.
So I think what that's saying is that you're like, I have to let it, like, basically what it's doing when I grab that image is it's accessing the data that's on my website. So I think really what that means is that you're allowing it to interact with the website that you're looking at. I don't think, and I've been using it for 3 years now, and in no way has it ever disrupted anything. I think it's really just needs your permission to be able to see what you're seeing on your website.
And so I believe you, and I want to interpret it that way, but I feel it would be really silly to not ask, because if when it says read and change all your data on all websites, it means all websites that you're using for this purpose with Lightshot.
Right. So I don't think I would open up a student's IEP and use Lightshot to screen grab private information about a student.
Okay, great.
I think I would probably refrain from using it for sensitive information. But for this purpose, where I'm grabbing images to create a slideshow or to create a document that's going to have some images for students or families to look at, I don't think that there's any harm there. Again, these are all kind of personal decisions about what you want to give these which ones you want to give access to. And I actually think that if there was something that was really problematic, I think it would probably be blocked from our AUSD accounts being able to add them, because they have ultimate control over what we can add to our work computers.
Right. Okay.
So,
Thank you for taking a minute. Thanks a lot.
yeah, of course. Of course.
And just to kind of tag on to that sentiment, because I had a question when about security. I was kind of wondering, is there also some vetting in the fact that these are all Google extensions? Because I feel like Google is not going to be like, use our extension and then have a big snafu, but maybe that's a false sense of security on my end.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking to someone who's like, I've got a Pixel phone. I contribute photos to Google Maps all the time. I mean, they own my soul 100%, and I'm totally aware of that. I think I'm a little more sensitive on my own personal one, just because that's my private information. Whereas the only data that the school district has attached to my school is my school email. And I don't, so I don't know. I don't feel all that, that it's all that much risk here installing these. And I'm also not I'm not doing a whole lot that's, sensitive work, personally. If you're working in the special ed department or, creating a presentation for one of your students or something like that, I certainly would have more concerns about which websites these apps we're looking at. But I agree with you. I think I look at them, I make sure that they have good stars and good ratings, and that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So that is, let's see, where were we? We were on, I'm going to delete that slide, but you guys get the idea about Lightshot and what it does. I just find that it saves me so much time with cleaning up my desktop from all those screenshots. So that is my third. And then the last one I wanted to share with you is like kind of one I use every day. And this one really is just for fun, but it's called Earth View from Google Earth. And anytime, once you've installed this extension, anytime I open a new tab, it grabs a map, or it grabs a photo from Google Earth. And students love this. It's really fun because then you can see down here in the right-hand bottom corner, it shows you where it is. And you can even click then on that spot and it takes you to Google Earth and takes you to that spot. So it could be a really fun thing to do with your students. If you have 5 extra minutes, just open a new tab and see where you end up in the world. And it's kind of a nice little, I don't know, it's kind of cool. Sometimes I just even open a few tabs and I don't know, check out some spots on Earth. So that is just another fun one to take a look at. So those are the 4 that I really use like every day. Do you want to pause for a minute? And if you click on the titles, it's going to take you to the web store, and it's going to take you right to the spot where it says add to Chrome. So if I really, really wanted, let's say I really, really wanted Lightshot from the slideshow that you have the link to, you could click on Lightshot and it's going to take you to the screen that you need to add it to your Chrome. And then it should be under your puzzle piece as soon as you do that. Some of them might say to you, ask you to confirm your Google address. Some of them ask for that and some of them don't, depending on their, what they're doing. And then if you think, oh, I'm going to use this all the time, don't forget, you could also click the little pin and then it'll just be in your toolbar. Or even if I hadn't put Lightshot in my toolbar, I could always find it here And I could click on it right from there, and it does the same thing straight from the menu, even if I haven't pinned it. Do you guys want a couple minutes? Helpful to have a couple minutes? Yeah, okay. So the next ones I have here are all Google Apps related, and I'll talk through them a little bit and show you a few of them. This one's called Black Menu for Google. I've never really fully gotten into using it, but it looks pretty cool. If you click on it, it gives you a little menu. Can you guys see the pop-up menu? Did it come up on the screen? So it gives you a pop-up menu for all things Google right here. It's kind of like if you wanted to get to YouTube or Translate or Maps or your calendar, it's almost like going to your waffle, but like everything's in a list, you know, the little 9 dots. So you can even do a Google search right there, and you don't have to go to a whole new Google. Like if I wanted to search for women voting, it's going to give me, I can do it all there right within this little kind of pop-up window. So that's kind of cool if I wanted to get to Google Maps, if I wanted to translate something. That one's called Black Menu for Google. And it just gives you this little kind of everything Google little like homepage. So it's kind of cool. If any of these are things you find yourself going to frequently, that might be a good one to install. And again, some of these take a while to get used to the fact that it's even an option, and it takes you a while to get in the habit of using this instead of just opening a new tab and going to Google itself. But that one's kind of cool. I'm kind of trying to, I'm going to pin it because I feel like I should get used to using that one more. So that's Black Menu for Google. This one's called Save to Drive, and it will save your web content directly to your drive. So if I'm on a website and I use Save to Drive, it's going to, I can either save it as a screenshot or I can save it as a document. And so now if I want this content in my Google Drive, it'll save it automatically. So now this was saved as a document into my drive, and it copied all that information from this website and it created a doc for me. And now that's in my drive. I know, it's mind blowing. And so you could set it to either save as a Google Doc or save as an image of the entire page, you know, depending on if you want like a screenshot of what it looked like, or if you want the content, like so that you could edit it and send it out to kids, whatever you want. Save, that one's called Save to Drive. Kind of crazy that that's an option, but there's that one. This one's called Checker Plus for Google Calendar, and you can see this little in my toolbar. This basically, it just gives you like a little reminder of what's coming up next on your Google Calendar. So this tells me that my next thing is at 8:45 tomorrow morning is my next like appointment that I have booked in my calendar. So if you're using Calendar a lot, it's like a little shortcut to your calendar. So when you click on it, it'll open up and kind of show you a little snapshot of your calendar. It's not, I don't know, it's not all that awesome, especially because I have a pin of my calendar open all the time on my computer anyway. But if you don't, and you just kind of want to see right in your toolbar, you know, and if I hover over it, it gives me a little like glimpse into the next few things that are going to show up on my calendar. So that might be helpful for some people. Let's see. Oh, I'm going to go to this one. The next one's called Add to Classroom. And this one is really great if you are looking, again, at a website and you want to post it directly to your kids. This one is called Add to Classroom. And you can either add it as an assignment or as simple material link. So if you see a really cool video that you want your kids to watch, instead of copying the link, going to Classroom, posting the link, going through all those steps, if you have this one and I go to add to Classroom, if I go up here to add to Classroom, I believe it will just, and you could even pick, oh, it's showing up on my other screen. It's letting me choose which class I want to assign it to, and then choose the action. I can create an assignment, ask a question, make an announcement, or create material. Basically all of your Google Classroom options, but I can do it directly from like, just skip that step of like copying the link and going into Classroom. So that's really cool, especially if you tend to see something and then want to share it out with your students. That might be a cool one to add. This one's called Send from Gmail, and it creates an email automatically from the link that you're in. So like if I saw a hilarious video and I wanted to send it to Beth, which we do for each other fairly frequently, we tend to text them to each other. But if I wanted to use email, I could, from that window of that video, if I click Send from Gmail, if I click on that little, the tool for it, it's going to open up a little side Gmail window for me with the link already embedded in the email. And then I can just blast it off to her really quickly. So it's great for sharing kind of resources with each other if you see them, sending them to your colleagues or to families or something. Or maybe you're on the website for your, like you're going on a field trip and you want to share the link to the place with your families. You could, just from that, within that website, you could email it off to your families really quickly, and it embeds the link for you. So that's another one. I haven't really gotten into using that one. I don't know, that one hasn't really stuck in my kind of routine, but I could see where it could be helpful. This one is pretty similar to using that preview mode. It allows you though, while you're presenting, it allows you to be in edit mode as well. So if you're talking to your students, I see some like, I've always wanted to be able to do that. So let's say we're in my newsletter and I want to present this to you, but I want to be able to edit it. I'm presenting it, but I can click in these boxes and I can edit. Like if one of my kids is like, Miss Gritman, you spelled such and such wrong. While I'm presenting, I can click in present mode and go to say, thank you very much for telling me. And I can change or I can edit or add something while I'm presenting. So that one is super helpful as well. And then I just click escape and I get out of it. Now you can see here, I'm still in present mode. So if I want to get back to my other view, I just click on the extension button again, and it flipped me back to my regular mode with the slides on the side. So you kind of click it once to get in and click it once to get out.
I'm sorry, Jen, can you do that also in the preview mode?
Let's see, here
those
your
apps together.
Preview mode, and let's.
Probably not, right? Because you're previewing.
Yeah, no, I think I have to be in the regular mode. And then so here it brings me into preview mode, but it's editable.
So it's both. You can do
both. It's both. It'll bring you into preview mode and let you edit at the same time.
So I'll still have my tabs and I'll be able to edit.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
thank you.
Yeah. So that one is pretty cool. That one's called Full Screen Interactive Google Slides. And you can add that one. I know there's tons of people that have, that when right? Like that's like, there's like the thing that is like, this makes my life miserable. And then you find out there's a workaround and you're like, sweet. So that is that one. And that's kind of it for the Google, the ones I've added that are all around kind of your Google. Do you want me to pause for a minute, or do you want to just later you can go back through the slides and you can add what you like? Is that, yeah? I feel like I'm rushing, but I also know that there's a lot to get through. So Okay, so screens and tab help. One tab, if you are someone who has a ton of tabs open all the time, if you click on one tab, and it bothers you, a lot of people, it doesn't bother you, but if you click on one tab, what it does is creates a tab over here pinned, and you can tell up here now, all those tabs are gone, but they're all listed here now instead as like a list. So now instead of having like a billion open up here, now they're just all listed vertically over here. And then I can click restore all and it puts them all back. So maybe you're even like, oh, I'm meeting with a colleague and I'm kind of embarrassed how many tabs I have open right now. You can click one tab, it hides them all, or you meet with me and you're like, oh, Jen would like have a heart attack if she saw how many tabs I have open. And so you throw them all into one tab, it pins them all here on the side, and then you can get them all back. They're not going anywhere. They're just kind of bookmarked there for you over on the side. So that's one tab. Tab resize is basically going to allow you to put things side by side in next to each other. So if you want to be on Zoom and also on your browser, or if you want to, you're reading a website and creating your presentation, but you want to be able to look at the information and type it in. If you do tab resize, it's going to put things next to each other. So you can pick a 2x2 grid or a 2x1. You can, are you seeing the pop-up menu there of the choices? Yeah. So, and then you can just, if you've done it, then you can click on it again and there's an undo button. So it's going to like glue them back together, and put them back where they were. So there are times when having, kind of side by side stuff, I tend to just get I just use the little resizing thing on the side and drag it over. But then I have to resize it all the time. So this just really easily does it for you, puts it back when you want. So that one's pretty cool. If you do that kind of work often, it might be helpful. This does the same thing. It's dualless. It also splits your monitor into two screens. So you might want to try these two out and see which one you like best. They do the same thing. They both have the same kind of similar reviews. So I threw them back both in there. Just, I don't know which one works better. I think they're pretty similar. So, but there's different options for splitting your screen. And I'm not demonstrating it because when you have an external monitor, it's kind of funky the way it splits things when you're working on a computer and an external monitor, but it's super helpful if you're just on your laptop, I think, to split things in half. Paint tool lets you draw on a website. So let's say or write on a website. So if I'm on this and I want to, I can draw, I can outline, I can put a box around, I can write, I can kind of edit it. So if I have this displayed and I'm looking at it with my students and we want to what's the main idea? We can put a box around it. We can label things. You can draw, you can write straight on the website that you're looking at. So that one's called Paint Tool. And that one is pretty cool. And then it also allows you to take a screenshot. So I think it has similar capabilities as Lightshot. Lightshot I've really just used for screen grabbing. And this one I can see more for annotating when I'm working with kids on a website. But you could check that one out too and see if it has anything. So those are all around kind of your screen, your tabs. And we only have 10 minutes left, so I'm going to keep plugging through. And then please feel free to reach out with any questions. If you haven't, I'm happy to come by and look at these with you. Later on, if you need more help with them. Screencastify, obviously, I think a lot of people already have it as an extension. If you don't, it's an extension that we can get. We all have through AUSD Screencastify accounts. So if you wanted to record something on your screen, you can either embed your own little face as you're talking or not. We use this a lot during remote teaching, but if you wanted to talk your kids through some instructions, if you want to make a short video to share with families about, your website, whatever you want. You just click on the Screencastify little extension, and you can either record your browser tab or your whole desktop. You can either embed your webcam or not. I tend to not have it show my face, but you definitely can. It's kind of nice connection for students. I even think Screencastify for giving feedback on student work could be a really nice, kind of supplement to giving feedback. It's a great, then you could just share their video with them through Google Classroom or email, and you've given some feedback to your students in that way. There's tons of ways I think that Screencastify is really cool, and I'm glad we've continued to hold on to it, even though, I think its main purpose was when we were teaching remotely, but I think there's all kinds of uses for it. And it is, you can also go to screencastify.com and log in there, but super easy to just click on the extension and do it straight from there, which is cool. Talk and comment. I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's this teeny little microphone over on the side here. Does it show up? That allows me, if I'm in a slideshow, any slideshow, you'll see it on the side, and I can click on it and it's recording my voice. And then when I click done, it creates a little link to my comment. So if you want to give verbal comments to your students, if you want to embed audio instructions, this is great for UDL, for adding audio instructions to your assignments, if your assignment's on Google Slides, or even you can insert them as comments in the comment section of a doc. So you can talk to your kids instead of typing it all in. Talk and comment is a cool one for giving feedback, or for adding instructions verbally to any Google type of app. You can do that with it. And you'll just notice once you've installed it, that this little button will show up on the side of any of your Google stuff. And you just click on it, start talking, and it'll give you that link, which is cool. And then the other one that does that exact same thing is Mote. And a lot of people really like Mote. They're kind of similar. They do a similar thing. So again, it's one of those things where you could try them both out and see which one you like the best, and then delete the one that you're not keeping. But you'll notice even on my slideshow, Mote is right here. Once you have it recorded, once you have it installed, the Mote button will show up, and you just record your Mote. Can you see the little pop-up box there? Yeah, good. So, so you can start recording, and it'll give you a little link to your comment that you can add. So lots of reasons why you might want to do that as well. I'm trying to, more accessibility and more not just written instructions, but audio instructions, all that kind of stuff, and feedback for students is great. So that's that one. Speak It is a text to speech. Snap and Read, I'm going to get to that one, is installed on all of our students' computers. And so I think Speak It does something very similar, but it might be something, if you're working with a particular student, it'll do text to speech. So you can highlight, or click on a website and it'll read that part for you. So, but I think because we all have Snap and Read installed, I'm not sure I would add this one in addition to it, but I wanted to include it. Here's Snap and Read. And again, we all have this one installed on our computers. And I went into 5th grade classes here at Cornell last year. So all those kids learned how to use it. Do I have it on here? Snap and Read. It's really cool. You sign in, and then you can use it as, let's see, did it? Snap and Read. You can use it to, once it's installed, you'll notice these tools over here on the side. Can you see those? Way on the right-hand side. There's, this is text to speech. You can use it to crop or do a screenshot. You can simplify vocabulary. And I don't know, I went into Beth's class and I'm not sure if, your students ended up using it much at all, but if anyone's interested, I'm happy to come in and do a little lesson for your students on how Snap and Read works. because I think for some kids, it even does the thing where you, let's see, if I click on here, then it will, it'll highlight for me. What's it doing? It's maybe because I modified the page, but it should highlight for me as I read, almost like I'm using a piece of paper as I read down. So Snap and Read's very cool. It has a lot of great parts to it, and I'm happy to talk to you more about it if you're interested in that one. But that's Snap and Read. And then let's see. Read and Write, similar. It has a lot of tools embedded within it to make reading and writing more accessible. So it has like a little dictionary with pictures. It has predictive text, so it can help kids pick a word. Lots of accessibility features in it. And again, I feel like we're running out of time when we're getting to like a really important part of like some of these extensions. So I'm happy to talk to you more about these ones that offer more kind of accessibility support for your students, but you can also check them out, or there's some great, like, even if you Googled Read and Write, you know, a little tutorial like would explain to you what it does. And then you could see if that's something you'd be interested in. Co-writer, same thing. Word prediction, speech recognition for writing support. I think we might have co-writer installed as well as Snap and Read. I think those are the two that are defaulted, like added to all of our Chromebooks for our student accounts. So I think your students have access to those too. Screen Mask. I mean, if you had the other and are using it, you don't really need this one. But again, this is the one where like when you're first learning to read and they teach you to move the paper down as you're reading, it does that on the web. So it'll kind of darken everything. And then as you scroll, it lights up the part that you're reading. So for students that are reading dense websites, it'll help them kind of track what they're reading on their computers. So, but Snap and Read has that feature as well built in. Ad block for YouTube. If you have that installed, it'll block ads for you so that it skips through those ads at the beginning of your YouTube. Some work better than others. Sometimes I still have to wait the 3 seconds and then click skip this ad, but it definitely does make a difference. It doesn't eliminate everything altogether all the time, but I've noticed a significant difference in the number of ads that are popping up. So that one's called ad block for YouTube. Oh my gosh, you guys, it's 4:57. Should I just keep going? Are we good? Or what do you want to do? I guess I'll keep going. If you have to leave, I totally understand.
Tell us ones you think are most useful.
What? What, Beth?
I suggested tell us ones you think are most useful of these last few.
Okay. Clipboard history, you know, if you copy something to your clipboard, but then you copy something else, then only the last thing is on your clipboard. So this just keeps track of all the last things so you could find like 3 things ago that you had done Control-V to copy. It gives you a list of all of them. I'm going to skip that one. This Save to Pocket is almost like a Pinterest-y kind of thing where you can save websites and it organized them by folders for things to read later. So that one might appeal if you kind of, instead of bookmarking everything, then you have crazy bookmarks to deal with. This saves them all to one website where you kind of organize them there. So Save to Pocket is pretty cool. See, it just added this document right now to Save to Pocket. And then I can go and I can, on my Pocket, I can have collections and I can have different websites that I've bookmarked and I can organize them into collections and stuff. So it's kind of another organizing tool if you want to dive into something like that. Similar, archiving and bookmarking web pages, another tool for doing that. So you might try out both and see if one of them works well for you. Creating shortened links, Bitly. Sometimes you might have used this, you might have gone straight to bitly.com, but you can do it directly from an extension right there. So that might be helpful. Grammarly gives you suggestions on what you write, corrects your spelling, corrects your grammar, stuff like that. And then these ones are just fun. You can get an extension for an emoji keyboard. You can get an extension for these crazy big custom cursors. I hate them, but some people love them, and kids love them. Giphy, you can automatically grab GIFs and drag them into your presentations or to Google Classroom or to your emails. Bitmoji, if you're inserting your Bitmojis, you can do it straight from, you can get them straight from an extension right there. Word replacer, I forgot I did it. I replaced the word teacher with superhero. And then I got an email from someone, Jessica Cortez, about doing a tutorial on Snap and Read. And I wrote back and I said, are you thinking for students or for teachers? And when I wrote teachers, it automatically replaced it with superheroes. So I've replaced certain politicians' names with other words, and you can kind of have some fun with word replacer. That one's kind of fun. Be careful, but with your students. But so that's all of the ones I've bookmarked. Hopefully you found some in there that you think will be helpful and save you even 5 minutes.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Turn off
stop
the recording.
I'm gonna stop recording.